With Shaken YouTube, this is the Angel of Authenticity from atop the motorcycle shop today. I thought I'd tell a story about, it was like my pandemic story, technically. I'm going through a box of paperwork too right now, like for the fire, this and that, you know, it's about ready, I'm about ready to like have this big hurrah change, da-da, in my life, so I thought it'd be nice to maybe go through some of my paperwork. I look at my duds as like the most personal thing I got. Like, no, dude, you can't see that. And it was like, no, it's no good. It was a dud. That's like mostly what I'm throwing away right now. Them things, like if God was sitting there, or your grandma, or like your new boyfriend or something, would you want them to see it? Like, if it's a dud, then get rid of it. You know, throw it away, get rid of it. So that's what I'm kind of doing now. It's just like half-written pieces, or, you know, just janky stuff. Anyway, I thought I'd tell a story today about my pandemic story. So, like, right when the pandemic started, it was like April or May, and I had a partner at the time. I had a boyfriend that was from high school. Well, I mean, I didn't date him in high school, but I hadn't known him that long. So, you know, I'd known him 20 years. It's like he would be around in my life, maybe like after a divorce or something like that, because I'd be out divorce celebrating and divorce drinking, you know. Anybody that's been divorced may know what I mean. Young, the kids going away on the weekend, you know what I mean? You got a little extra time, you got a little child support maybe even on top of your job pay. So like, one of my old friends from back in the day, one of my homies, we get into some freaky action, you know. He's got me like tied up over my head and like upside down and sideways and shit. Well, anyway, fast forward like a week, I end up with a double kidney infection. I know, it's pretty serious. Actually, in the hospital, they called it a very violent infection. You know, it's such a violent infection. So I'm like telling my friend at the time, I'm like, man, maybe send the old man down. Like, I don't know if I would come down right now if I were you, because they're calling it a violent infection. You know, I was really sick though. But before I went to the hospital, I took myself to the hospital the next day after this conversation I had with my landlord at the time, which is just another friend of mine, Russell. And I said, I called him over, you know, because my life was flashing before my eyes. I was literally dreaming and thinking about these things that I hadn't thought about in so many years, or seen it quite like I was getting it in my dreams, and at that moment of epiphany, even though I was kind of awake, I was like in a half-conscious state. You know, things I never thought about in so long. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like, oh man, I do. That's what they mean by your life flashing before your eyes. It's not like really a flash of everything in your life. It's like these things that maybe you put to the back of your mind and you forgot about, that had a really pivotal role in your life. So anyway, I call over Russell. At the time, he was my landlord, and I said, Russell, I'd been living there about 5 years. I'd been already living there and renting from him. I said, Russell, I'm going to die. They're going to let me die here. Like, you don't understand. I'm sick. I got a fever. I've had a fever. I'm chilled. Like, oh, you know, my life's flashing before my eyes. What do I do, you know? And he says, no, Jennifer, you can't die. You'll be fine. I was like, no, you keep saying that I'm going to die. Something's not right. It's not good. And I was right. It was not right. I had a double kidney infection and sepsis, actually, at the time. And I knew it was, like, the end for me. And he goes, Jennifer, you can't die. He said, who's going to ride that motorcycle out in the shop? You know, at that time, I had never rode my motorcycle. It was my motorcycle that was being built for me. You know, and it was like, most of it was done in the first night, you know, and then it was just like some technicalities. And I had been sick. And he says, who's going to ride that motorcycle, that little Kawasaki, out in the shop if you don't ride it? Nobody, he says. I was like, well, yeah, maybe, you know. He goes, no, really. In a year from now, they're going to say, where's Jennifer at? And I'll say, she's out riding her motorcycle. That's what Russell said. I was like, well, yeah, maybe, you know. And that was his words to the wise. Like, as I was sitting there literally dying, like, my blood count was probably like bazillion over bazillion. And that was his words of wisdom for me when I was like, I need help, I'm dying. He says, you can't die. You have a motorcycle out there that needs you. I mean, that was pretty powerful to me. I'll never forget that. That was like the most serious words that Russell will ever come up with, probably. Because the only thing serious he talks about is a wrench or a motor, you know, and it was really profound to me. Because he was right, though. A year later from that time, I mean, I did my first 1,000 miles within 2 weeks of that on my motorcycle. I finally went to the liquor store the next day, and I thought, I'll just get a drink, I'll get a Red Bull, I'll get a vodka, you know, and everything will be fine. I'll be feeling back to normal again. That's all. It's just because I haven't been back to my normal self in a while. Well, that was a joke. I drank one drink, and I was sitting there looking at the freaking hospital from the liquor store. It's right across the street there in Knox, Indiana. I thought, oh, what am I doing? I gotta go in the hospital. I'm sick, you know, I'm gonna die if I don't. So I went in there, and I had to spend like 4 days in there on IV antibiotics with my violent infection. And as soon as I got out, I slept, you know, I got out in the afternoon, like 3, 4 in the afternoon, and slept all the way till the next morning, about 5 a.m., almost daybreak. And I said, man, that's either a golf cart or that's my motorcycle riding now. And I looked out the window, and I couldn't see nothing, but I could hear it, you know. So I get up, and I start moving around, you know. I get my coveralls on and shit, because it's like October, November, you know. Pretty cold out. Kind of rainy and wet. And Sport's just sitting on the couch. If you know, you know. I'm making a drink. He says, what are you doing? I said, I'm gonna go learn how to ride my motorcycle. What are you doing? He goes, but you're making a drink. I said, oh, yeah. I thought you were riding your motorcycle. Oh, I am riding my motorcycle. I'm gonna learn how to ride my motorcycle after I make this drink, and then I'm gonna go ride my motorcycle. Because you can't do that. I said, I most certainly can, and I will, and I am. And that's how I did it. And as soon as I got on my motorcycle, I ran it right into a tree. As soon as I started taking off for the first time. Boom, right into a tree. I was like, no, man, I got it. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. And I got on my bike, and I got on it, and I took off out the driveway. And I was gone a while, right? Unbeknownst to the boys, Billy, Skins boy, and Russell, Billy's like, oh, man, I killed her. I don't know, man. She ain't coming back, man. I killed her. What did I do? Like, oh, man. You know? And Russell goes, no, it'll be all right, man. It'll be okay. She got it out of her system already and crashed into the tree. It'll be fine. It'll be fine, you know? And the reason it took me so long to get back is because, like, I didn't want to turn because I was scared because of the tree thing, you know? I went all the way till I was almost to the highway. I was like, I got to turn. It's going to be the highway soon. And I'm, like, cutting through the long way, through stop signs and shit to avoid the whole four-way. Like, you know, I'm cutting around in the grass everywhere I can go. Like, because I was scared of, like, shifting and all that stuff. I didn't know. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I really, you know, I don't even know. Like, and I made it home. I didn't even kill it or nothing coming and going. And I got back finally, and he had, oh, man, I thought I killed you. And I was like, that was awesome. I need more gas. And that's how it all started, and I haven't stopped ever since. Like, literally haven't stopped ever since. I've not only outrode that fella, Skins boy Billy, at least once. I got lucky. I was like, man, what am I gonna do? He's shooting at my gas tank, and I'm like, out of options here. Sometimes you could give him the slip and do that old clever bluff and trick him. Sometimes that's your only hope. The old biker bluff, I call it. You know? But I just thought I'd share that story. You know, it goes to show, like, even when your life really sucks at the moment, sometimes it just takes that encouraging word, even if it's, like, the worst advice ever. Oh, you can't die. But I am dying, you know? Like, but I didn't die. I got wise the next day, and I sought medical care, which, I mean, with sepsis and a double kidney infection, that could have been any time. I was like... So... It was a good thing I did it when I did, but I'll never forget that advice because it was very sincere. It was the most sincere I think I've ever seen Russell, except for one other time, but I'm not going to talk about it. That's not really appropriate to talk about on this channel. So, like, until next time, I guess, get real.